Okay, so I'm going to show you a little bit about how to bring other kinds of file types into Photoshop so that you can mark them up in the same way that I did my Adobe PDF. I like using PDFs because Adobe makes PDFs and makes Photoshop, and so everything works together very nicely. But you're probably saying to yourself, well, I have a lot of my notes that are in PowerPoint format, and I like to write on them maybe on on an interactive board. How can I take those files and bring them into Photoshop and mark on them with a pen tablet? And I'll show you how to do that. I've got two different presentation files open. I have a Keynote file and a PowerPoint file. They're actually very similar, although I think Keynote is a little more powerful. I'm going to show you how to take both of those and turn your PowerPoint presentation slides into images that can then be brought into Photoshop. So I'll show you PowerPoint first. Here's one of my my physics lectures, and I want to take all these slides right here, all 40 some of them, 44, and make them images. So I'm going to go to File, Save as Pictures. I'm going to save it onto my desktop. That'll be in JPEG format because that's pretty common. You're probably familiar with that. We'll call this Math Review Lecture Slides, and save it. And you can see that, and it tells you each slide has been saved as a picture in this folder on your desktop. PowerPoint puts them in a folder. I'm going to do the same thing. In fact, I should change the name of this to say PowerPoint. I'm going to do the same thing with my Keynote slides as well. So this PowerPoint I can now close up. Keynote, I've got a slightly different lecture over here. I'm going to go to File and then Export. And actually you can export it as a number of different file types. You can actually save Keynote files as PDFs and then bring them into Photoshop the way I did my other document. But I'll do this the same way I did the PowerPoint and save it as image files. So with Keynote, it gives you the option of which ones you want to actually save. So I'm going to go from 3 to 3. All I want is this one right here saved, and go to Next. I'm going to save that. I'm going to call that let's see, Chapter 2 Lecture Keynote. Okay, oh sorry, Lecture Slides Keynote, and export. And it puts it right on my desktop right here. So PowerPoint puts them in a folder for you, but it gives you all of your slides. As we open this up, you can see all the slides in that presentation are there, and you can choose from them. Or if you want, you can open it in Keynote, save it as pictures, and you've got one picture right there. That's that slide. Okay. So these are now images that can be opened up and brought into Photoshop. So I'm going to open with Photoshop Elements. That's the Keynote one. And I'm going to open my PowerPoint folder here. I'll take this one, slide 2. I'm going to right click and open with Adobe Photoshop Elements. And these are both open. Can't really see it right now, but they're open with Photoshop Elements. Now I'm going to rearrange these a little bit. So those are in the front. And I'm also going to open up my graph paper file. Now this is a file that I mentioned in one of my earlier tutorials. You don't need to use this. I'll make it available, but you can be any blank file. Or honestly, you really could simply just start writing in each of these files right here. You can see that I have my pen or my brush, and I can just start writing and marking these up. That's completely up to you. Just to show you that this option exists, I'm going to bring both of these into this single, where is it here, graph paper file, and then we can mark them up in sequence, and I'll show you just how to do that in just a second. So this is the Keynote file. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to select everything in this picture right here. Okay, I drew a box around it You can also do that by just going to select all, or Command A. I'll do the same thing. Command A. You see the little marching ants around the edge right here. That means the whole picture is selected. And then I'm going to copy it, edit copy, or Command C. I can now get rid of that because I don't even need it anymore. Go over to my document that I'm going to be editing everything in. Oops. And paste it right in, or go to edit, paste, or I go to Command V to paste that right in. Right there. And you can see what that does is it brings this in as its own layer. I'm going to call this Keynote slide layer, and as soon as I pasted this in, it created that new layer. By the way, you might be saying, what are these other layers here? Well, this is the same file that I've had open from my other tutorials, and this writing layer I'm going to turn on, and this problems layer should look familiar to you. They're still all in the same Photoshop file. I just have the layers turned off. So you can really bring in numerous layers of writing and pictures and slides and mark them up in a sequence that way. I'm going to take this layer, this Keynote slide layer, and make it a little bit bigger. Oops, you know what? Gotta undo that. There we go. Make it a little bit bigger right there. And I'm also going to turn it off for right now, so it appears to go away. It's actually still there, but what I really care about is my my other file. Here's my PowerPoint file, my PowerPoint slide that I want to be able to mark up. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did with my Keynote file. So I'm going to go to select all, or Command A. It selects everything. You can see those marching ants around the edge. Command C, or edit copy, copies it. Now I can close it entirely, and I can now paste it in. Edit, paste, or Command V into the file that I'm going to be marking up. I'll make this slightly bigger as well. Hit Enter, and I'm going to move this further up to the top and call this PowerPoint slide. Okay, but we've got our Keynote slide here. Our PowerPoint slide is on this side. You can turn them on or off in whatever sequence you want. So if I've got a number of slides that I want to be able to write on in Photoshop Elements, all I'm going to do is take whatever slides I want, bring them into Photoshop, make them each their own little layer, and then I can either have a single writing layer, or I can make a new writing layer for each slide. Do you remember the layer, the new layer keyboard shortcut? Command Shift N, right? Command Shift N. I'm going to write, call that PowerPoint writing, and that'll be right above the PowerPoint slide. And the Keynote slide, I'm going to make another layer. Command Shift N. Keynote slide. Really doesn't matter what I call these. Keynote, PowerPoint. They're simply just pictures that were generated by those programs. Oh, you know what? I should have done that. I should call it Keynote writing, right? Writing. Oops. All right, and I put the writing on top of the slide that it goes with because, well, you want to write over top of it. And so even if this slide right here, oops, I want to undo that. Let's see, zoom, fit screen. Even if I want to make this bigger and fill the whole screen with this slide, oops, I think I stretched it a little bit. Fill the whole screen with that slide right there. That's fine. I just go up to my writing slot, my writing layer, and now I can write over top of it just like I did anything else. I can highlight things. Okay, now I'll say I'm done with this slide. I want to go to the next slide. Just turn both of those layers off. Got my PowerPoint slide, my PowerPoint writing layer open. I'm going to make this big right here. And again, you might just do this all ahead of time, but I'm showing you how to do it in, you know, so that you know how to do it. And so I'm going to have my PowerPoint writing layer selected, and now I'm going to write in this layer as well. You can make this really as complex or as simple as you want, but this is how I take slides and note slides, bring them into Photoshop so that they can be marked up. They can also be brought into Smart software, Promethean software, if you choose to have that. It simply just has to be a program that you can write with. You can't write very well in PowerPoint. You can't write very well in Keynote. You can write very well in Photoshop. And you can mark up your notes however you so see fit. So I hope that helps. Again, all this that I have been doing in Photoshop is what you would screen record with QuickTime, and then you would push that out to your students. But this whole process of taking slides from PowerPoint or Keynote, bringing them into Photoshop, that's how I take my note slides and mark them up that way. So I hope that helps. I'm going to continue to use Adobe PDFs in Photoshop, but you can use clearly whatever note program you want, because anything that can be saved in a picture format can be brought then into Photoshop and marked up. So, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.